and Pan-African TV. If we acknowledge any other TV station broadcasting live, we will acknowledge for the presser NDC. Without much ado, we invite the national chairman to give the address to the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy National Communications Officer. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Let me also commend you for your prompt response to our invitation to address the nation through you, in spite of the short notice. We have decided to go slow on addressing the media so that we don't inflame passions and tensions that usually attend elections such as the one we've just gone through. But that our silence by both the Electoral Commission and the New Patriotic Party to continue with the impunity they have been known for the past 8 years. The subject of today's presser with what is happening at the police training school in Tesla. Some people call it re-collation, some people call it collation, and so on. Whatever name you call rose, it will still smell sweet. And a decorated donkey still remains an ass. It cannot be turned. We in the NDC believe that what is happening at the police training school amounts to illegality. It is not founded on any laws of our elections. Neither is it consensus that has been reached between the parties and the Electoral Commission. And so we want to inform the nation and to give notice to any officials of the Commission and the police who are involved in the perpetration of that illegality, to know that there could be consequences of their actions in future. We know the process of our elections is quite clear. After voting, votes are counted and the results entered on what we call the result declaration forms, or the pink sheet, and the presiding officer at the polling station proceeds to announce the outcomes at the polling stations, after which all party agents sign, and then the results. The reason is that everybody will be having the same. That is one of the most important checks in our elections. And that is why we always say that elections are won or lost at polling stations. Now, after what has been declared at the polling station, the law requires the presiding officer to paste a copy of the result declared at the polling station at the place where the election took place. And then, after all these declarations have been done at the various polling stations, then the parties, together with the Electoral Commission, will now meet at the Constituency Collation Center, where the results declared at the polling station, which will be in the possession of the Electoral Commission, will be produced, and tallies are made out of that EC copies. But to check that EC itself will not play games, all the participating parties will have their collation agents at the collation center, and they will come there with copies of each of the polling station results, so that when the EC collation, constituency collation officer mentions a polling station by name and code and mention the figures, then all the parties that have copies of the pin sheets will now verify and check whether the figures on their copies of the pin sheet tally with what the Electoral Commission is mentioning. This provision is a check on the Electoral Commission officers, so that they themselves cannot perpetrate fraud during the elections. Now, after we all agree on the figures as mentioned, because if everything is right, all the figures must tally, because the pink sheets are filled in quadruplicate, duplicate, quintuplicate, or whatever the case may be, depending on the number of candidates. So everybody will have the same copy. So the moment and you find parties holding different documents with different tallies of votes, then there is a big problem. And that problem cannot be pinned on a single political party, because the same way political parties are capable of perpetrating fraud, the Electoral Commission officers also are capable of perpetrating the same fraud. So you need to find a way of looking at it so that you can identify the wrong thing. But whatever happens, at the end of the collation at the constituency collation centers, the results are entered also on the collation sheet and are signed and certified and pronounced upon by the returning officer. And in our elections, in our general elections, you have two categories of returning officers. The returning officer for parliamentary elections and the returning officer for presidential elections. And they alone have exclusive powers to pronounce the outcomes of the elections, and nobody else. That is why it takes the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, who is the designated returning officer for presidential elections, to pronounce on the presidential elections. No other person can pronounce on the presidential elections apart from the chairperson. The same way, at the constituency level, the law mandates only the returning officer in the constituency to pronounce on the outcomes of the parliamentary elections in those respective constituencies. No other person. the chairperson in Accra of the Electoral Commission cannot pronounce the outcomes of the parliamentary elections in any context. The regional directors of the EC cannot pronounce on the outcome of constituency elections if officers to the constituency returning officers. The district officers, if they are not designated as returning officers, cannot announce or declare the results of parliamentary elections. Because returning officers, once they are designated before the election, they are sworn in that they will speak the truth and then declare everything. So those returning officers who are being who are claiming that they have declared one set of results in the constituency, and now they are claiming before their bosses that they declared those resources on their duress, so they are now going to declare another set of results. They know they may be on the wrong side of the law in future. And so what we are seeing in police training depot, we tried to find out what was happening there, because that meeting was called without any discussions with us as leadership of the National Democratic Congress. We were just here when we heard that our Electoral Commission and the police have decided that the outstanding, what they call outstanding constituencies, or constituencies where there appear to be some conflicts, they are inviting all of them to come and do collation and re-collation. For some of us, when we were asked by our officials in the constituencies, we told them plainly that we didn't have any notice about it and we are not involved. In fact, I advised some of them not to appear, because what is going to happen there has no basis in any of our electoral laws. Now, checking from the police about what was happening there, we were told that the Electoral Commission had informed or misinformed the police that the political parties have come together through consensus that we must in school and then bring all the areas under contention for these issues to be addressed. And we said that sorry, because we tried to find out why would the police accept to protect people who are engaged in some illegality to go about their business. And this was what they told us. We have since told them that we are not part of it. We have never discussed any of these things with the Electoral Commission anywhere. And so we, whilst monitoring, we heard yesterday that Fantiakwa North constituency, whose results had been collated and declared, had been collated at police training depot and declared by somebody who is other than the returning officer. Yeah, in fact, it doesn't amount to redeclaration, because the person who was forced to declare at Tesano is not the designated person who has power or authority to declare any results of Fantiakwa at all. So, and that person was standing by the returning officer in Bebro when the returning officer was declaring the results. And then he is now invited to come and re-declare. And I'm not surprised, you know, it reminds me about your drama in Parliament, where Mr. Speaker presides and takes a decision, and then they follow the MPP forces and Deputy Speaker to go and reverse the decision of the Speaker. So this is the hallmarks of MPP's impunity. So we don't want to, you know, engage in anything that will escalate tensions. So we have proceeded to court and have applied to injunct the process that is going on there. And we hope we are putting the Electoral Commission and all other people involved in that illegality on notice that what they are doing amounts to an illegality. If they choose to proceed, then they will be ready for the consequences. The staff of the commission who are engaged in this illegality, there will be consequences for them in future. And let me also advise some other influential people in society. I hear that in some places, chiefs are involving themselves in this electoral process and putting pressure on commission officers not to proceed to do their work according to law. We are also advising Nanano that it is for very good reasons that the Constitution provides that Nanano should not be involved in active partisan politics. But if they choose to descend into the arena of controversy, the consequences will be obvious. So we are advising Nanano to conduct themselves, those as many of those who are involved, to conduct themselves as chiefs of all the contestants and not to enter into this arena of controversy. Because if you present yourself as a politician, we will treat you as a politician. If you present yourself as a competitor, we treat you as competitor. If you present yourself as a contestant, the other contestants will treat you as such. And I don't think it will be good for us, because the provision in the Constitution barring chiefs from participating in this active politics has at least served our democracy that far. And so we are advising to take note of that and contribute their quota by way of peace building rather than entering the arena of controversy. Now, I heard my junior brother Asiedu Nketiah, who having rejected the position of minority leader, is now on his way to becoming a micro minority. Bragging that he belongs to a party of rule of law and all that. Who doesn't know about MPP? We in the National Democratic Congress don't need lectures from Asiedu Nketiah about democracy at all. Indeed, if there were any need for lectures in impunity, then we will invite him as our lecturer. If it is about democracy, he must shut up. He should go back to his region and take stock of who have been shooting and killing people, his party people, who have been shooting and maiming people across the country. We are quiet not because we are going to sleep over this. We are sending notice that all this violence, right from 1996, 2016, to date, will be properly investigated, and our electoral system and democracy will be cleaned of these violent states. Immediately we take over. And so anybody who is thinking about abusing these 3 weeks, abusing his power during these 3 weeks to create any problem, he must know that there will be consequences for him after we take over. I want to thank you all, and may God bless our homeland.